Congratulations, people. It's Friday.
I can see the comments. What are they talking about?
Oh, nothing important. I just want to make sure that you can see Lonzo. It. Well, I mean,
full takedown.
We don't deal with important things here on a Friday. I mean, come on. Beautiful sunny Friday. I'm guessing it's sunny in North Carolina also.
It is. It's nice. Just went on a little run. So.
Oh, there you go.
Appreciate that, Steve.
Gotta get down on Friday. Well, Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Welcome to the last 2 Fridays of my life. Rashad Beard's about to fall the hell out of his chair right now, catching the stray Rebecca Black for no reason. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen.
Sorry, I was a little loud.
It was a little bit loud.
But that just shows how Friday it is.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob and Lonzo with you. And now join, we usually are on Thursdays, but he was off on some top secret mission that he'd love to tell you about, but would have to kill you if he did. Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast. Find them on Twitter at Panther Nation PC. But more importantly, look them up on YouTube. Make sure you get subscribed. Hit the little smash that like button, I think is what the kids say nowadays. What up, Rashad? How we doing, big dog?
What's going on, man? Feeling good on this Rebecca Black Friday, man. That definitely caught me off guard. Haven't heard that song in a long time.
Zoe found that bed, and Rebecca Black has probably tripled her royalty payments over the past week and a half.
That's a fact. Just off of that one play. Just
off that one play. Rashad Beard from the Panther Nation podcast. Again, make sure you look them up and follow them on YouTube. Spectacular show. Y'all gonna take a nap this week? Y'all been busy, Shot?
We haven't been too busy. This is it's a bit of a slow news cycle with the training camp ending, mini camp into training camp. You got this long break. So we're working on some things, but it's a little bit quiet right now. I'm gonna be honest, things about to ramp up with the release of the training camp schedule and all that good excitement. We're excited about that. Well, I don't know if you guys are excited about that in that area, but we're definitely excited about it here in Charlotte. I wonder what's the vibe like with training camp, being removed from that area. You guys getting good old
that was a hard jab, wasn't it?
It was.
I'm just asking. No, I'm curious. This is a serious question.
It's interesting because I think there was a pretty distinct connection between this area and the team with the training camp down here at Wofford. And when it went away, there were a lot of people. Well, first off, the folks in Spartanburg real upset, which makes sense, right? Because when you had the camp there, you were bringing thousands of people from around the Carolinas down for 5, 6, 7, 8 days, hanging out, getting hotel rooms, spending time there, spending money in the Berg. And now that's all gone. There were businesses that probably utilized that 1 week a year to float a lot of the rest of the year. And that's just gone now. I will tell you that one of our previous hosts here on the station was making a push to effectively start a petition to just rename them the Charlotte Panthers. He's like, hey, look, clearly they care about Charlotte, and you should, right? Especially now with the news that Tep wants $600+ million for his stadium upgrades. It is very clear that this team, I'll put it this way, Rashad, no one down here believes the one team, two statement or two states, one team mentality anymore. That's gone now. There's still the pockets of goodwill. Folks still love the Panthers, but I think a lot of that connection to the team, that kind of personal connection, kind of poofed out of existence there.
Yeah, I think it's tough. You had Xavier Richardson, who was a Wofford legend, right? And he had the tie to Wofford, and we held it there for some. I'm honestly surprised that Tepper kept training camp there as long as he did and didn't move it sooner, just because he basically removed everything tied to Xavier Richardson. So that was something that I saw coming. I thought it would happen sooner rather than later. But I mean, Clemson, having the training camp fan fest in Clemson is interesting. Obviously, we started having our home games there first in Death Valley. And the word on the street was that, we were going to have it in Columbia. And I'm not sure what happened with the change between Columbia and Clemson. But it's interesting. I mean, I think I don't know if it's sincere, but it is like, hey, kind of take this fan fest and be happy with it type thing. So I understand, South Carolina and their displeasure with the Panthers right now, but hopefully it gets better, and hopefully Tepper finds another way to kind of appease our fans of South Carolina.
All right, let's talk about that money thing, because there was an article up earlier this week on Yahoo Sports, and you'll have to forgive me, I forget the name of who penned it. It's still up on their NFL page if you go look at the Carolina page, but they said something to the tune of, Rashad, the or else in give me my money or else is starting to look more real. And one of the first comments that popped up on that page that I found really interesting is, has David Tepper ever directly threatened to move the team or even really insinuated? I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, I don't think I've really ever heard Tepper say anything that made me go, oh, damn, maybe he is thinking about it. And that's not to say he's not, but I think there's a lot of people that are kind of taking this hospitality tax payment to the Panthers as like a big threat. It doesn't feel that way to me.
No, it's not. And I'm here locally, and I understand it, right? David Tepper is a billionaire. He has the money, right? He doesn't technically need the money from Charlotte. I think he has like a net worth of $20 billion or something like that. So he doesn't need it. And people are saying, hey, okay, he's already rich. We don't need to give the rich more money, right? So I get that. I understand that. And I also understand that David Tepper isn't the most popular person in the world, right? He has done some things to this team that haven't been the greatest. And for me, I've been the one leading the train as far as calling him out when he doesn't. I've been the most critical of David Tepper. There's been no podcaster on YouTube more critical than David Tepper than me, right? But I've never once ever heard him say he's going to move the Panthers. That never has been a thing. I don't know where that came from. He's again publicly, he's always said, hey, I love it here. He brought soccer here. There's no indication that he's going to move the Carolina Panthers. So I don't know where this is coming from. And again, I get the hate, but there's that. I don't know where that's coming from. I think people are just saying that just to find something else to hate on about David Tepper.
That's the vibe that I've gotten as well. But I did find this story about the Chiefs kind of interesting. I don't know if you've seen this. Chiefs have been saying, hey, we want money to renovate Arrowhead. And, as much as we don't want to, we might have to leave if we don't get it, which I think is a strong arm tactic. I don't think Kansas City's going anywhere. But immediately, Kansas State, who is, obviously Kansas City is split between Missouri and Kansas. Kansas State started drafting a bill immediately saying, we'll give you your stadium. We'll give you the stadium. We'll give you the money for it. We'll build you the new stadium. You and the Royals come on over. And it's interesting, not because of the Chiefs, but it's interesting, Rashad, because it shows that there are still states and municipalities, as much as a lot of places are starting to push back on giving hundreds of millions of dollars to people who have hundreds of billions of dollars in the bank. There's still a lot of places that are willing to do that, to get a pro team, which to me, even if Tep has never really directly threatened moving the team, I also don't know that anybody's ever made the approach of like, yeah, but like, what if you bring an NFL and an MLS team to us? It's got to be a thought, I guess is what I'm saying here. Like there's got to be some thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's economics, right? There's always going to be somebody looking to acquire that amount of income that's going to come with an NFL team and an MLS team. Right. So that's just bait. There's always going to be that threat. And so he doesn't have to say it. Right. He doesn't have to publicly say, I'm going to move the team, because there's always going to be somebody willing to go out there and say, hey, we'll give you the money you're looking for. So, again, I think that, I love the Panthers. I would hate to see them leave. I don't think there's been any indication that's ever going to happen. But shout out to Tepper, man. I think he's doing a good job. Listen, I'll call him out when he needs to be called out. But this whole situation with the renovations and the training facility and all that, he's doing a good job. I'm not mad at it. The Rock Hill thing kind of went sour, but he's doing a decent job. I'm assuming the business side, he's doing the best that he can.
By the way, I went and looked it up. We talked about the Fan Fest happening in Clemson, not in Columbia. I think it is because 2 days after that Fan Fest, there's a Premier League soccer game. Manchester United and I think Liverpool are playing there 2 days later. So my bet is they just don't want anybody down on the pitch, because that game's got to look real good on TV. That game's worth a ton of money. So that's going to be my guess on that. Let's get to a couple of other things. We've heard a lot of chirp, a lot of talk about Bryce Young. I know you and I have just addressed this a number of times. Pretty much it feels like a weekly basis at this point, but there was an article up on Yahoo Sports earlier this month that talked about the development of BY as a leader, not as quarterback, but as a leader, as a guy who feels a lot more comfortable. We knew that Dave Canales has told us 100 times. It is about driving down on the things that BY does know, making that a big part of the game while developing the stuff he's not as good at. Have you heard any stories? Are there any talks, any talk about town about BY as a leader, a dude, not just a ball handler?
Yeah, no, I think you recently heard Adam Thielen come out and talk about Bryce as a leader and talking about how more comfortable he is right now and how they're getting together on a more personal level, talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves because, Adam Thielen is a Timberwolves fan. So I think that connection, that leadership connection between Bryce Young and his receivers is starting to come along. You even hear about Deontay Johnson talk about, Bryce Young and how he wants to be there for him. I think they're starting to gel a little bit here. I think there was a lot that came with Bryce Young in his rookie season. He was dealing with a lot. There's a lot to overcome that rookie season. And so maybe he was just kind of going through the motions, but now it's starting to kind of click and, hey, I got to be a leader. But at the end of the day, I've said this on this show multiple times. I think it's got to come together on the field in order for us to really make this thing click. It all sounds good on paper and in the locker room, rah, rah. Hey, go Bryce. But until that rubber hits the road, we're going to have to see it. We're going to have to see it. And I'm hopeful. And again, everything's trending in the right direction. There's no indication where I'm like, oh, this is not going to work. I'm still in on Bryce. I think he can do it. I think he can lead this team to a solid season, and then we'll build on it next year. But I'm happy with the progression with Bryce. It definitely feels a little bit different right now. And hopefully we can put it together during the season.
One of the names I've seen popped up a bunch of times on Reddit right now, there's a thread of Carolina Panther fans that are giving their in-season projections, not in terms of win-loss totals, but for individual guys. One of the names that has popped up a lot of times is John Mingo. And there's been conversation about, is he going to cut it? Is he going to make the cut? Can he break out this year now that he's got some time and familiarity? I think like every other young cat, and I've talked about this, I don't think you can put into words how detrimental to the development of a young player a bad coach can be. Urban Meyer at Jacksonville is the primary example. But then you look at Carolina, you had 2 in a row between Matt Rule and Frank Reich. That is horrendous for the development of a young player. I think it's true about Bryce Young. John Mingo's another name there, that the projections varied from guys who said he won't make it to the season. He'll get cut. He'll get let go before that, to guys that have said, now that there's consistency and a coach that understands an offense and a quarterback who feels a lot more confident, John Mingo can have a breakout season this year. Through what we've seen so far, what are your takes on that, Cat? Can he be a participant? Can he be a playmaker this year?
I certainly hope so, but it definitely feels a little Terrace Marshall-ish, right? Very similar situation with Terrace Marshall, where we drafted him and the coaching never clicked. I'm still a believer of Terrace Marshall. I believe if Terrace Marshall went to a team like the Bengals or something like that, where he has a connection with Joe Burrow, I think he could be a very good player. However, the things just did not click in enough time. And now he's on his contract year, and it kind of is what it is. I think he's not going to make it onto the regular season roster. Same thing goes for Jonathan Mingo. I think while Mingo's only in his sophomore season, I think if things don't click well with this coaching staff and they don't develop him, which I think they will, right? This coaching staff, Canellis, Idzik, those guys are wide receiver coaches, right? They know how to develop wide receivers. When we talk about Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, and he's got that body type. He's a bigger wide receiver. So I'm hopeful that the coaching staff will be able to get the best out of these guys. However, I'm not too worried, because guess what? There's a lot of talent behind those guys. When you talk about, there's a lot of like underrated talent. We talked about Coker. We talked about Pickney. We talked about Strawn. There's a lot of underrated wide receivers. Not only did we just drafted Xavier Legette. So there's a lot of underrated guys that could, pop up, and we could care less about Mingo. So hopefully that's the case. We'll see what happens. But go Mingo. I hope he does develop, because I think he's got some talent.
All right, one more, and then we'll let you go. Rashad Beard, talk to me about XL. I know he had the hammy injury, cost him a handful of days out on the football field working out with the boys, but also did get a couple of days in before that happened. We all know Xavier Legette's a damn media superstar right now. All right, he's like the NFL's favorite player at this point. Between him and Keon Coleman taking the world by storm, I love both these cats immeasurably. as a football player, what have we seen out of XL so far? Or has he justified yet? I know you can't really do it until the season starts, but has he calmed people down to believe that the trade up and the move to get him was justified?
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that calming of the nerves is going to happen until we see it. And I think it's going to take the entire season for him to show that. However, I do love the work that he's putting in. I mean, he's putting in a lot of work. You see the videos of Deontay Johnson that are going out. You see similar videos of Xavier Legette working out. I know he tweaked the hammy, and I know they're kind of taking it slow with him. It's unfortunate that he did miss those reps during minicamp, but I firmly believe, again, it all goes back to coaching, right? That we get stuck on the individual talent and how these guys are going to develop individually, but it takes that development from the coaching. And I hope that the coaching will get the best out of Legette. I think he's got it. I think he's going to offer some ability in the return game as well. So I'm excited about XL. I think there's a lot of potential there, and I'm hopeful to see it. And hopefully he will justify that move up and into the second and make a lot of guys feel a lot better about it.
Rashad Beard, one half of the Panther Nation podcast. You can find them on X at Panther Nation PC. More importantly, go to their YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to it and hit that bell notification because they go live like all the damn time. What you guys got coming up, big dog?
Yeah, a little after lunchtime today, I will be talking about training camp. The training camp schedules come out. There's some little nuances in there that you need to watch out for. Ticketing, all the stuff. The way the setup is going to be a lot different. It's going to go down at the Panthers training facility. So it's a lot different. So I'm going to be breaking down all that stuff. Lunchtime today. Grab your lunch. You know what I mean? Come to the channel. Check it out.
You going to let me crash if I come up for training camp?
Come through. Yeah.
My guy. Rashad Beard, host of the Panther Nation podcast. Again, make sure you follow them on YouTube. Get liked up. Phenomenal. It is without a doubt my number one go-to for Panthers talk. My man, appreciate you, big dog. Thanks for coming by.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you so much.
See you next week. Rashad Beard of the Panther Nation podcast. Swinging by, and he got up out of here before he got his last Rebecca Black on the way out the door.
I should have been quicker on that.
He was like, I'm out. Yeah. See you later.
Well, he's going to be back at lunch. So
that's true.
He needs a shower. He just ran. He just said he popped in after he just went for a run.
My man showed up sweaty, glistening.
That's it. Glistening.
Yes. Rashad Beard. What a dude's the best. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we got 1 hour of sports talk excellence. The most electrifying hour in sports talk entertainment comes up next. But before we get to that,